What up? What up? What up? Shrekley Podcast, man. It's episode number 91. Um, Been a couple weeks. Last episode we did the Thor Love and Thunder spoilers. Me, Nick, my dog, Jay Merritt. This episode I invited another new face, new voice to come and kick it with us. They zeroed in on the topic, which is bad, like consensusly, like the general public considers these bad movies, but we like them. And then another very familiar face returns. Melissa, Nick with us. We 5 deep this episode. Theatrically, over the past couple weeks, we have had Paws of Fury. What's that shit called? The Vengeance of Hank or something like that. The Journey of Hank. I don't know. Some weak ass Paramount movie. This past weekend, Nope from Jordan Peele came out. The Gray Man from the Russo brothers is on Netflix. Upcoming between this and the next episode, we got DC League of Super Pets. The Rock, Kevin Hart, Keanu Reeves, John Krasinski doing voices. And then the first weekend in August, we got Bullet Train, which looks incredibly fun. Prey, the Predator prequel. Easter Sunday, which Easter's in August, but this movie's coming out in Easter's in April, but this movie's coming out in August. That looks funny. I wonder if my theater is gonna get it. And then Blu-ray and DVD releases over the past couple weeks. We got some movies, because my stupid ass didn't have the site queued up. So we got, man, off the top of my head, I don't even remember what I bought. The 10th, the 12th, it looks like Raging Bull came out on 4K, Batwoman, Baby Kids came out on Blu-ray, some catalog stuff. This past Tuesday, Devil in a Blue Dress came out on Criterion. Bob's Burgers came out incredibly fast to physical media. The Bob's Burgers movie. The last season of Legends of Tomorrow came out. Yellow Jackets, the show from Showtime that I heard is good, came out. I bought it. I'll watch it eventually. This upcoming Tuesday, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out. The Lost City, Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum comes out. The next DC animated release, man, Green Lantern, Beware My Power comes out. Excited for that one. There are a lot of additions to that Doctor Strange. Just putting it out there. The first Tuesday in August, it looks like Heat is getting a 4K. It looks like, wait, man, that's I'm one Tuesday ahead, so August 2nd looks like a whole bunch of nothing. Maybe some re-releases. But yeah. The Arrow, the boutique label Arrow is putting out Flatliners, Blu-ray and 4K. But yeah, nothing major. August 2nd. So I ain't gotta pre-order nothing. A win for my pockets. Before I switch up and we head to the group panel, I just want to shout y'all out, man. I want to shout out the listeners. Germany, Australia, UK, Canada. Y'all been listening on the audio only. And then on YouTube, on YouTube, shout out India, shout out Indonesia, and the US. Y'all been watching. It's appreciated. So yeah, man. I hope y'all enjoy this conversation. A lot of laughs coming. A lot of bad movies coming. Um, I want y'all participation too. Like, let us know what bad movies do you guys really enjoy, even if you're embarrassed to admit it. Like, this is a safe space to admit your the movies that you enjoy. Like my man E6 says, man, you like what you like. There are no guilty pleasures. And of course, I'm spitting in bars to close out. It's Rec League. Hey, we back. Uh, Two heads fatter than last time. Nick, Melissa, what up? Um, we got a stranger we haven't seen in a while. Sigmund Cinema, how you doing?
Oh,
And new season, new voice, new face, man. Plug your shows, website, social media. Introduce yourself, man.
is that my cue?
Yeah.
All right, cool. What's going on, everybody? My name's Joey. I'm from the So Wizard Podcast. Just coming to hang out with you guys today. Talk a little bit about some nerdy stuff, some movies, some other things. So Wizard Podcast. We are it's like a conglomerate, I guess you would say, of cool stuff. We've got our weekly podcast. We've been doing it since 2014, and we got this it's a concept that no one's ever heard or seen before in podcasting. It's just so new and exciting. We had to jump on it, and it's me and my friends review movies. So we just had to get it out there. No one's ever done it before. Well, it was so long ago, maybe no one ever had. But so yeah, every week we review nerdy movies, superhero, sci-fi, horror, that type of stuff. We also have a YouTube channel. We're pumping out videos nonstop with interviews, unboxings, all sorts of other stuff that goes with that. And yeah, I'm just here to rock and roll, banging out with you guys. Let's do it.
Very dope, very dope. Yo, Nick, man, you kind of like had some like breaking, not so breaking. Like you dropped something, but it didn't break news. Like you was like going back and forth with the director of Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Yeah, I almost canceled my appearance today because I'm very famous.
Bro, I wouldn't even know if he didn't comment on my comment. I wouldn't even know. Like, did he like read my shit? Like, this dude was about to bootleg my movie.
Yeah, I was like, I told you as a compliment to the movie. I went and saw Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, the movie, opened wide. It finally came to my theater. I went and saw it last night. It's so good. I cried like a dweeb. Like,
Big
I was
baby.
in there by myself. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Anyway, Randy commented on it, and he was like, I wanted to see this, but it won't come to my theater. I was like, well, buy it, bootleg it, do whatever you got to do. And
No, that's a blind buy.
the director of the movie, who's in the movie, it's kind of like a...
Is he the shell or is he the shoes?
No, it's kind of like a mock documentary style thing, and he's the guy like filming in the movie, living in the house where the shell lives. He also, I guess he co-created the concept and directed the movie. He commented and said, the Short Pump, we're always making fun, I go to the Short Pump Regal Theater. He said, Short Pump Regal, that was my go-to spot when I was in high school. I was like, what? So but he said also, please don't bootleg the movie. So I was like, okay, I promise we won't.
I believe Jenny Slate voices the Shell.
Yeah, because I saw her promoting it on maybe Seth Meyers or something.
She was on
Smartless
Smartless talking about it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they co-created it, and it's been around for years. This is just like the first time they've done a movie. It's so good. If anybody, it's like, what's something I can see that feels like a big hug?
Like, not a segue, but almost a segue. Like, should we like comment on him and ask him, didn't he just get hired for like a Marvel show or a movie or something?
Wow.
I want to say I've heard his name like for a show. I don't know which one though.
What? I didn't know that.
I might be thinking about somebody else.
Maybe.
Put
my foot in the door.
So I guess Eric suggested we bring this up. The Monsters, like Rob Zombie's directing the Monsters. Like, you assume Rob Zombie doing a movie, it's gonna be like this huge like theatrical thing. and that shit's just going to Netflix. Universal like dumped it onto Blu-ray and not even like DVD or digital copy, just Blu-ray. Sig, how do you feel about that?
Ooh, you mean the trailer or just?
Did I watch the trailer?
Yeah. Did everybody see the trailer? The most recent of the Monsters.
Yeah, it looks bad. It looks like a porn parody.
It does.
It does. It looks like the
Not
same
that I know.
Monsters XXX.
No, Nick,
Not
you
that I
outed
know what
yourself.
those are like, but it does.
But I guess
Yeah.
Rob Zombie was trying to defend. A rumor came out that the budget was $40 million. And he came out to defend
Yikes.
that it wasn't. But it still doesn't matter if the budget was $1 million. It still looks off.
His fee must have been $35 million.
Yeah, it's
39.9 million
Yeah.
for his pocket. The rest of
How much did it cost? Did he say?
The real number is unknown because everybody thought it was 40. But like I said, even if it was, I mean, he's a good enough filmmaker. I mean, technically, I don't know what the problem was, but it looks, because it didn't even go to, it's Universal Pictures movie, right?
Yeah,
And
they
it's
said
weird, it
that
didn't even go.
it was supposed to be a direct-to-video thing. It wasn't supposed
There's
to be
no
any
way.
big theatrical release, but man, it looks bad. For me, the big thrust was I wanted to see how this prolific horror director would handle comedy in a family movie. Like, that was really where it was coming from for me, and I saw all I needed to see in the 3-minute trailer. It looks like garbage. So,
It's like after those two animated Addams Family movies did decent business, and Universal definitely wanted to compete with those. Every single Rob Zombie movie, for better or worse, has a following. So there's no way this was just meant for Netflix and straight to Blu-ray.
No, like nothing said that. Like everything said coming
soon
this year, and then it was like coming in September, and then it was like they put out the trailer and nobody thought the trailer looked good, and then all of a sudden it was like it was only
Coming to
ever
Netflix.
supposed to be for Netflix, guys. We didn't spend $40 million on this, and it's like you might have blown $40 million.
Wink, wink.
direct to Redbox.
You let the director hire his wife and his regulars, and it looks like crap.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm
for
not-
sure.
I won't say I'm excited. I know Rob Zombie loves the Munsters. Like anybody, like as far back as you can go, like he's always done Munster stuff. And then like all of his movies, like House of a Thousand Corpses, they're sitting and watching the Munsters movie stuff. Like, so I don't think he's gonna blow it. I'm not like if there's like a problem, I'm not like, well, Rob Zombie doesn't get the Munsters. I'm just like, I don't know if Universal or anybody like had enough faith in it to like really let it, I don't know, bloom. Is that the word? That's not the word, but yeah, it looks like a fan film, like something that somebody made like in their backyard. But I'll watch it.
He didn't get
And it
Eli
looks
Ross
like
crib
there's,
notes for House with the Clock in its walls.
Yeah. And something real noticeable about the trailer. Somebody brought this up. It's the perfect word. Seeing the trailer, there's like, it looks like B-roll footage. There's no momentum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's no like plot indication. Like it's just kind of like people talking.
An hour and a half goth party.
Yeah.
I don't know. And are y'all familiar with the original Monsters?
I am.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old as dirt, so it used to be on TV all the time when I was a kid.
So Herman Munster, I forget the actor. Was it Glenn?
The guy from Pet Cemetery.
Yes.
What
And,
is his name? I don't remember. Now
so
that I said
Rob
I'm
Zombie's
old.
supposed to be this big Monsters fan, and I forget his name. He had, as Herman Munster, kind of a deep voice and kind of like that, just a little bit, right?
Yeah. It was Fred
And-
Gwynn.
Yeah, Fred Gwynn. There we go. And the guy in the new movie, it's an acting choice, like greetings from Pennsylvania. I don't know. It's just like, why is he talking this high pitched voice? It's like everything just doesn't. Nothing meshes. Nothing matches. And it just looks bad. But anyway, moving on.
Well, the funny thing about it being on Netflix is probably more people will watch it now than they would have if it had to go to the theater to see it.
In 7 years, it'll be trending #1.
So I can roll over and hit play on my remote instead of having to leave the house, and I'm definitely in for Netflix.
And that's another question: why Netflix and not Peacock, which is Universal?
Yeah. That's always the question.
They just lost faith in it and just sold it to Netflix.
It'll do better on Netflix. Like, that's what people are like, Peacock didn't want it. And I'm like, well, it'll do better on Netflix. Like, more people will watch it on Netflix.
Normies have Netflix. Normies don't have Peacock.
Right. It's basically like if they spent, like $3 million on this, and Netflix says we'll give you 10, and everybody's paid and walk away,
Because nobody was given 40.
Honestly, I think like the big thrust for this is like, can we get it to be enough of a cult classic where we can sell Munsters merchandise with these actors and characters on it going forward? Then we're good. Otherwise, we'll throw it back in the dustbin and pull it out in 5 years and try again. They've been trying to remake the Munsters for a long time. There was another one, I think, like 15 years ago, like in the 90s. That's actually more than 15 years ago, isn't it? It was in color. There was one in color that they did, really? Like Munsters Reborn or Revenge of All Munsters or something. I don't remember, but it was also terrible. So.
They did one with Jerry O'Connell. Remember that? And like, they weren't monsters, but they were like the Munsters, but it was like him and somebody, and it was just
they always they'll pull it out again. Franchises never die. So
they need to bring back Casper the Friendly Ghost. Didn't the Addams Family?
Didn't they? Where's Christina Ricci these days? Get her out there.
Yellow Jackets.
That's true.
Great show.
We spent way more time talking about the Munsters than I thought we were.
Here come the Munsters.
I didn't even know.
That's gross.
We don't even get Eddie. We don't get the hot chick that was their cousin. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's for the sequel.
Yeah.
All right. Comic-Con was this weekend. In my opinion, it was kind of like an underwhelming Comic-Con, but I'm gonna start like Halloween Ends dropped the trailer. There was some Dungeons and Dragons stuff. There was DC news that we already knew about. I'm assuming they're saving like their either big, event announcements for Fandom or maybe after the Flash comes out. And then Marvel kind of like owned the whole weekend last night. Nick, you want to start us off? What got you the most excited?
The Walking Dead news was really exciting, actually.
Oh, I got a bone to pick with the Walking Dead news. They reneged on the Rick movies, and I don't like it.
That's true. I knew back then that that was like 4 years ago, and even then, it wasn't. It was starting to feel like, well, they're not going to make Rick movies now, and that was like 4 years ago. And now it's been 4 years, and there would been no news. I was like, they're never making movies unless they make one that goes to Netflix, like El Camino. I was like, they're going to make a series of Rick movies. But
Andrew Lincoln's just been under a rock waiting for the signal to go up.
Yeah, but it was like he left the show because he was sick of spending 90% of his life in Georgia when he lived in London. And he was like, my kids are there and my wife is there and I don't want to live here all the time. But we've all just been waiting for him to come back. So the fact that they're getting a show, to me, is very exciting. It makes me feel better about the show ending. Because I was like, how are they going to wrap up the show in 8 more episodes? But anyway, we don't have to talk about the
Did they clean up the whole Carol's not going to be in the Daryl show thing?
Are they even still doing that show?
I think it's just supposed to be it's there's so many spin-offs coming. That is one. Negan and Maggie are getting their own show. Because they weren't there. They made a little video saying that they're filming their own show. Then there's the Tales of the Walking Dead, which is a little anthology thing. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
The Walking Dead is still going on.
Yeah, I fell off after they killed. They didn't kill. They beat Negan. He cut his throat. Right. That happened. Yeah. Right. Okay. And then I don't know. I fell behind. I was trying to catch up. There was some episode where they were pulling a covered wagon through the museum or something, and I was falling asleep. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I haven't watched it in years. So
a lot of people fell off after the Negan stuff.
I think it was All Out War was so all out bore. It looks like an episode of Police Squad. Again, to age myself, I'm sorry. I know you guys are all young and hip, but they were just people standing within 3 feet of each other, firing automatic weapons and missing for 45 minutes. And there were like barely any zombies, and I was just like, why am I like? I could feel the cells in my body like dying, like as I was watching this, and I was like, I'm gonna be like in my 80s, hopefully maybe even 90s, laying on the bed in the nursing home, and the light's gonna like appear above me, and God's gonna say, it's time, Joey, come home, and I'm gonna say, man, if only I had like 20 something more hours and I didn't waste it watching seasons of The Walking Dead that sucked. So I let it go.
I'm gonna when I die for having gone through the whole show to the end. I'm gonna be stronger and better for it, and I'm excited. I'm happy that, as I said, like Denai Guerrera had to stay. It was like The Rock came into Comic-Con, like he flew into San Diego and then left, and she had to stay there all weekend because she had to do Walking Dead and Black Panther.
Yeah,
probably. I love that for me.
Yeah,
I love that. But anyway,
Halloween Ends trailer. We don't need another one. Perfect tease.
Yeah, it didn't show shit really, and I don't need to know anything.
Yeah.
Although was it you guys that were talking about the synopsis that's out there?
Right after Kills came out, like David Gordon Green or somebody was like, this is what happens, it takes place here, this is what's going on, this is what's impacting everything. And it sounded dumb, but I liked that trailer.
I read a synopsis over the weekend that I also read, and I was like,
whose fault is that?
That's kind of dumb. And I do hope that that's not it. Based on the trailer, it doesn't look like that's it.
No.
Because it's like, why? Like, what's the point? Like, why? What's the point of making a trilogy if you're gonna do what? Anyway, trailer was a lot of fun. I don't need another one. I don't need to be sold on anything else.
Well, it looked like it had what you want from Halloween, but Halloween Kills was pretty bad. We like to call it Halloween Kills all my interest in the franchise. And now we're moving on to Halloween Hopefully Ends. But I mean, what is another? It's just like Alien and Terminator and Predator. Like, what's another bad Halloween movie really mean at the end of the day? I mean, there's probably more bad ones than good ones at this point. At least we won't have Paul Rudd or Rob Zombie coming in and ruining it anymore. So I don't know. Oh, it's not like I'm not going to go see it, but didn't really knock my socks off or anything.
Yeah, there wasn't anything that made me gasp, oh my god. But I was like, yeah, I don't need anything else.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't need anything more. It's like, oh my god, Michael Myers is in it. It's like, duh. Oh my god, he's in the house. Duh.
Duh.
It's just like, wow, here's Jamie Lee Curtis again. She's old. Michael Myers is chasing her, and they're gonna fight. Okay, we knew that 3 movies ago.
They didn't
what are we doing
fight in the last one. It's
he just
different.
really wants to stare out the window. Just let him stare out the window. Stop trying to stop him. Just let him do it. That's all he wants. I hope that one lady carrying the iron in the background of Halloween Kills finally got to at least hit him with it or press his clothes. So that's pretty much about it.
Before we move on to the main topic, MCU, what was the announcement that excited you most, and is the Daredevil show being 18 episodes too many?
I think so. Some people love long TV shows. I kind of like the short format. As long as there's something happening. I hate when TV shows drag. It's like the Lord of the Rings.
That's what I'm afraid of.
You got a little bit of butter and you got too much bread. That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. We got 25 episodes to fill and we got about 10 episodes of plot.
Daredevil.
It depends on the story. It just depends.
Yeah.
On, if they feel they have a story to tell that takes 18 episodes and it's good quality stuff, and we're cranking along 18 weeks in a row, fantastic.
Calling it Born Again is what has everybody hyped.
But it's technically already did in season 3. So
yeah.
But those olden days of 24 episode seasons when like all the CW stuff. Like, my God, I fell behind when I started working third shift a few years ago, and I fell behind on all those shows. And the next thing I knew, I'm like I'm never going to have the time to sit down and watch 6 seasons of The Flash that are all 25 episodes each. So I'm done. But yeah, I mean, Miss Marvel, for example, I really liked it, but it needed another 2 episodes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I hate I don't want to see a hard like must be 6 episodes or must be 25. Like, just as long as it's good, that's all that matters. It just has to be good.
Yeah.
Just make it good. That's all we care about.
I think 10 episodes is kind of like good to me. Like, the Stranger Things are all like 10 episodes, and there really aren't that many episodes of Stranger Things. There's really just like the one.
This season they're all 2 hours long, so it's technically
that's when every episode was like 3 hours, but there were only like 6 episodes.
Right.
But it's like Game of Thrones. Weren't they all like 10 episodes a season, maybe 12? And like, there's really not that many Game of Thrones episodes that you think like, oh, that one was a drag, that one was a filler episode.
Not filler, but there's certainly some bad ones.
Oh, as it went along, there were certainly bad ones. But yeah, that's kind of the cat. But like, even some shows struggle with that. Like that, started that Resident Evil show.
Oh, it's awful.
I got 2 episodes in, and I was like, I'm done. I can't imagine watching 10 episodes of this. I was like, I'm done. Life's too short. I'm done.
Eric, Thunderbolts, Captain America 4, Blade. What you got? Black Panther trailer.
Now I'm curious for Ant-Man, actually, because that's supposed to introduce the Conqueror, and this is supposed to go into the big baddie of the new phase or whatever. Because what is it supposed to be, 4 through 6?
2 Avenger movies.
Yeah,
I want to see them. I want to see him let Jonathan Majors just run wild. And the guy's a fantastic actor. So please don't waste him. please don't waste him.
I'm assuming the Kang Dynasty is going to have a cliffhanger that leads into Secret Wars.
What's interesting is everybody bashing. There's a meme going around showing a poster of the MCU schedule. Then you see the little figure with the stick poking at DC, saying, "Do something."
It's true.
Yeah, it is true. Marvel took their lunch, man.
As soon as DC came in and teased some stuff we already knew was coming, I told these guys, I was like, all we need is a Blade release date and Marvel wins. And within the first 10 seconds, that's what we got.
We actually get from Marvel, MCU, or Marvel Studios.
Footage?
I mean, the thing is, like, everybody was like, oh, wow, like, Marvel came and announced, like, 85 movies. They didn't really announce that many movies. They announced a couple things.
Like 7.
But they really just kind of put dates on stuff, announced, like, the timeline, and, like, this is going to release here, and this is going to be here.
Right.
That's all anybody is asking for.
Yeah.
And there you go, Nick. That's why I was getting at.
Yeah.
Because even if everything isn't down to the detail planned out, they have an idea. They literally, like you said, have a timeline. Yeah. And DC is just, we'll see what happens.
Like these are coming out this year. You could involve them, and then they
Marvel's earned the right to kind of do that too. Like they've earned the right with quality products where they can say, hey, you know what? One of our big movies of the year is fucking pardon my French, fucking Ant-Man.
Curse away.
With MODOK. And you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And then DC still can't figure out how to put Superman on the screen. Right. So
and speaking of which, Joey, you gotta give credit to Dwayne Johnson because
he tried.
They were all over him.
I love The Rock. I have for a million years since he was wrestling. Even his terrible bad B movies, he was in like Walking Tall, all that. So I love the guy. He gives 100%. So I'm excited to see Black Adam. I'm a DC fan, and besides Marvel, you know, I'm not I'm not like console wars about it. Obviously, I like the Marvel movies better because they've been better quality. But a really well done DC universe pushes Marvel to do better, just like they're pushing DC to try to up their games. So it's not a thing where it's funny sometimes with DC floundering, but you don't want to see that. We want to see quality stuff coming out.
And
the Black Panther trailer was probably the best for me. I was blown away.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I know my co-host, I had to check on him to make sure he was breathing after it dropped in the poster. And, I know he's ready to run through a brick wall over it. So I've already read all the spoilers for the movie, so they kind of line up with the trailer. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited for Black Panther. I want to see where they go with it. And I want to see Namor really bad.
Yeah.
A classic character. Looks like they're going to do it justice. But I mean, there you go. We can't get Superman and Batman on the screen, but we can get Namor, the guy in a Speedo, and we're excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, instant emotion.
Yeah, like the people that complain, it's like I'm still like, I don't know, like I'm in my 30s, but I'm still like, look, I think back to when I was like in high school, middle school. I thought Namor kicked ass. Like that was awesome. Like I used to read comics. I had a Namor action figure, and I was like, it was like bewildering. Like I never would have thought like, oh, he'll be in a movie. Like I was just like, this is Namor. He's Aquaman, but like Marvel.
Yeah, I say it a ton on our podcast, and it's like when I was a kid. So I'm old. Again, going back to me being old. I'm old. When I was a kid, like you didn't get any of this stuff. Like you didn't get superhero movies. Nothing. You got the Hulk was Lou Ferrigno with green paint on and a shitty wig. There was nothing like this happened. Batman and Robin, the movie, which is terrible. They mentioned Superman, and that was like, oh my God, he said Superman in a Batman movie. So the idea, like my kids, to them, it's like, 35 movie, 7 TV show interconnected Marvel universe is just some normal thing that happens. Right. That's just going to the movies. That's normal. They have no concept. I used to get Comic Scene magazine, and in the back there was probably like 7 or 8 pages. It was just list all the comics characters and what studios had the rights to them. Probably like 90% of that, 95% of that stuff was never made, and if it was made, it was terrible. So this is just the golden age of nerd stuff. So it's great.
Yeah, like
most definitely.
Really even in the 90s and 2000s, when they started making more, say it was still like, here's Spawn, you're welcome, and it was like, okay, I'll take that. And here's the Fantastic Four with Jessica Alba. You're fucking welcome. Wow. It's like
Jessica Alba in spandex is a crowd pleaser.
I'll take it. Shit, here's Ghost Rider. You're lucky to have this. And
right.
Like, okay. We would get one.
Well, I always say that about Morbius. Like Morbius is terrible, but it's not the worst movie ever made unless you haven't seen a lot of movies.
It's on par with what used to come out all the time.
Right. You could have walked out of the theater from seeing Ben Affleck Daredevil right into the next theater and watched Morbius, and you wouldn't even have blinked. Yeah, outside of the after credit scene, it'd be like the same. You actually probably be like, whoa, those special effects were amazing. I love Morbius. Like that's probably what would have happened.
Morbius and Blade Trinity double feature, and it would have been the exact same thing. It would have been like, wow, what a great double feature. Thank you so much. Yeah.
But y'all are queuing up the perfect segue because those movies are shit, but they have an audience. And the way I translated the conversation, the way I sold it to everybody else was like consensusly bad movies that we enjoy. Cool.
It's actually really funny because he said Daredevil. That's 100% on my list. That's at the top of my list.
Nice. I like Daredevil.
Movies that I think are great that like people don't actually like.
Yeah.
I love Daredevil.
So do you mind if I ask Joey? This is your topic, and I was really excited about it. Do you want to give like a little intro so I can kind of nail down what you're looking for? Because Randy told me bad movies we love. I don't know. Do you want to just give a little?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a connoisseur of bad movies. All the way back to me and my friends would go to the video store and we walk right past the new releases and right into the dusty, dirty shelves in the back and just look for the worst movies we could find, and a lot of them just like stuck in our hearts, like movies we loved from a million years ago. Like Basket Case, for example. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
No.
Just weird things like that. And then I always just love things where they're just batshit insane, or just clearly they were never going to find an audience, but for some reason they just stick in your heart somewhere. Again, a lot of it for me was growing up and we had HBO, and some of these movies would just be on HBO nonstop, and they would just fall in love with them because you're like 7 years old and you're watching like Grease 2 every 45 minutes, and you just don't get it. You don't understand why it's such a bad movie.
For sure, absolutely.
So yeah, man, any movies that are terrible consensus-wise that you guys love, I'd love to hear what those movies are and hear your defense, for them. Put your dukes up, get it on. So,
Melissa, start us off.
Well, that's a lot. No, but I told Randy, I was turning the topic over in my mind because I was like, man, this is tough because, in my opinion, I think me, Randy, Nick, for sure, I don't think we really care what critics think. And in terms of what we love or what we've always loved, that never even factored in. So it's really hard for me to separate what's bad versus what I love it.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah,
So
I'm the same way. I'm the same way with you right there for something like look at a movie like Army of Darkness, for example. Like, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It probably made $3.75 at the box office. So, a lot of people make it like, I always think of it like there's us, there's like our friends that are nerdy movie people, and then there's like my mom. Like, my mom would not watch Army of Darkness. It's like my mom could not conceptualize.
There's people that really care what the critics say, for example.
Right.
So the way that I finally nailed down this topic was to cross-reference what my favorite movies are with Rotten Tomatoes.
All right.
And I told Randy I got shock after shock after shock because so many movies that I've accepted are great are actually not considered great. Like you said, Grease 2, I'm a Grease fanatic, the first one. Grease 2, I don't know, but I would never diss it. But I have childhood movies like that where I was like, this is a fantastic movie. Let's look it up. And then you're like, holy shit, this was a bomb.
33%.
Like it. And just to go over some of the shocks I had, some were not shocking, okay? Billy Madison, Big Daddy, Ace Ventura, those are all in my top 10. I'm not shocked. I knew those were not critically acclaimed. But then you get into shit like Home Alone 2. There's all these sequels that I thought were generally accepted as great that are not. So Mission Impossible 2, I know that's not a popular opinion. I love it. Ghostbusters 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, The Lost World. I love The Lost World. I thought that was a perfect movie. And to find out these are actually not critically acclaimed movies, it's shocking to me. And then random dramas like I love rom-coms and comedies, so most of my comedies and rom-coms are on this list. But random dramas like The Pelican Brief is not critically acclaimed. I was totally shocked by that. So yeah, I have a lot of movies that apparently are not considered good movies. That are on my absolute favorites list. And it's hard for me to answer this because I don't love these movies ironically. I just love them. Whereas I've always used this as my perfect example. Sex and the City 2. That is objectively a horrible movie. I can't really defend it, but I do love it and watch it. I think it's offensive. I think it's kind of racist. I have a lot I could say about it, but do I watch it every year? I do. So that's my perfect example of a consensus bad movie I love.
There you go.
All right. Eric, you said you had a whole ass list for this, so I want to know what that list is.
Oh, no. And the interesting thing about the critic statement is, no, a critic doesn't make or break what I think about a movie whatsoever. I mean, for example, one person who's considered to be one of the greatest critics ever, Roger Ebert, didn't like Die Hard.
Yeah, he was kind of a hater.
What's that?
He was kind of a hater. Like, you read his negative reviews, he was just shit all over.
Well, he does have several books that are about the movies he hates.
Oh yeah, and he literally has a book called "I hated this movie."
Yeah.
And it's interesting, but yeah, it's weird how that works. But yeah, these critics are sometimes they get caught up in their ego and they not even being objective or subjective. They just, look, I'm talking, so you're gonna listen. But but it's funny, Joe, you mentioned Basket Case. not only have I seen that movie, but I've actually met the director and conversed with him when he came to a screening for his movie Brain Damage. And if y'all haven't seen that, I recommend it. But my first movie is from a wonderful movie studio in the 80s, Canon, called Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Marvel Studio stuff, and they're famous for their post-credit scenes. This is the first movie, it's from 1987, that I remember having a post-credit scene with Skeletor coming out of the pit, and I'll be back.
You gonna shatter so many teenagers like glass of Marvel inventing some shit?
Oh, they think Marvel invented the post-credit
The
scene.
fucking wheel?
Pretty much. But no, Masters of the Universe. So Dolph Lundgren, in my opinion, has become a decent actor. He's probably not going to win an Academy Award, but like out of the action guys, he has some decent dramatic range. Like look at him in Universal Soldier compared to Masters of the Universe. And there's a story with Sylvester Stallone coming onto the set of Masters of the Universe and looking at Dolph Lundgren because they worked in Rocky IV, and he said to the director, "Y'all let him talk." So it is so one of my favorite things about the movie is Frank Langella as Skeletor. Like talking about,
he didn't show up to just cash a paycheck. He
oh
is,
man,
he is 100 out of 100 going.
He loves every moment that he is on screen. He's having a ball. And he knows, it's Frank, he knows what kind of movie he's in. Mm-hmm. But and why not have fun with it? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's actually not a boring movie to watch. The action scenes are pretty decent for a movie that had its budget cut at the last minute. But of course, it's a nostalgia childhood thing. But yeah, it's so corny. From 80s point of view and just but yeah, if you sit down and watch it, you won't be disappointed that you did, because you'll have a ball at, you know, some stuff is good but most of the stuff is bad. But anyway,
with the young Courtney Cox and that one too.
And one of her first roles, Courtney Cox.
That's right.
And Meg Foster back in her day was super gorgeous.
Yeah, not kicking her out of bed for eating crackers. So, you know.
But anyway, it's crazy. Masters of the Universe. I don't know what else I can say about it. Yeah, it's objectively not a bad. I mean, not a good movie. It's bad.
No, and a nuclear box office bomb that helped destroy the Masters of the Universe franchise. But yeah. I also love it. I saw it in the movie theater. It's great. It's really bad though. It's not good. I feel one of those movies where I think about going back in time and like seeing it, where I made my parents like go see it with me, and I wonder like what were they thinking like halfway through this movie they were being forced to watch.
You know what's hilarious?
I've been there.
I brought up Roger Ebert, right?
Yep.
So a year later, he would hate Die Hard. He gave Masters of the Universe a positive review.
Damn.
So that goes to show you about the critics, man. It's whatever. But yeah, Masters of the Universe.
In a better mood that day, I guess. Nice.
Damn, Joey, man, what you got on your list?
All right, well, my first one, maybe you guys have seen it, maybe you haven't. It's a nuclear box office bomb from 2001, starring Chris Rock. Oh, and it's called Pootie Tang. Have any of you guys seen this movie?
I think once.
I should have that on my list. I love Pootie Tang.
It's nuts. And I just remember it was all over MTV. They had commercials nonstop for it. They had a music video, and I can't remember the name of the band, and I had it written down. It was 702. Sorry, it was the singing group that performed Pootie Tangin'.
That's an era.
And it's just nuts. The movie is just nuts. It's supposed to be a parody of blaxploitation films.
Takes me back to high school.
Kind of isn't. Like Black Dynamite, if you've ever seen that, like does it fantastic. And it's perfect. It's
Undercover
great.
Brother.
Right, Undercover Brother. Yeah, this is just bad. It's nuts. And the studio pulled it away from Louis C.K., who wrote and directed it, and recut the whole thing. and like so much of the movie has narration, which is hilarious to me because it's almost like they had to go back in and say, if we don't add this part where so and so explains to you what the fuck is going on in this movie, it's not going to be watchable at all. And it's hilarious, and to this day I still laugh about it. I just watched it a few days ago, and I still find things that are funny about it. You know, that I didn't notice the first time. You know, his dad gets killed by a gorilla at work, and then they're like, it's only the third time this has happened at this steel mill, and I'd never caught that before, and I thought it was hilarious. When his mom dies, like they have to show the family dinner, and there's a big feast, they're all eating, and then his mom gets killed, and the next scene is just him and his dad, and they're just eating cereal. So just little things like that you don't notice the first time, but it's nuts. It's not something you're going to pull out on your first date or show to like normal people you work with. But to me, it's absolutely hilarious, and it's so bad and it's so great. So that's right up there. Honestly, it's probably my top 20 movies of all time, period. Not just bad movies. Everything about it, the concept, the insanity, the idea of people walking in off the street and saying, I really want to check out this movie with Chris Rock. This is what they got at the theater. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
Pootie Tang.
I haven't seen it, but it reminds me of Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice and hood, or whatever the title is. I grew up with that movie, which is a parody of all those 90s hood movies, obviously. I haven't even seen a lot of those that it was parodying, but I grew up with that parody. Right?
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. That is a good one. That is a good movie.
We thought that was hilarious, and like I've seen it so
more
many
coherent
times.
than Pootie Tang.
And it's like I don't even know what it's making fun of, but I think it's so funny. That's actually not critically acclaimed either. It's like, well,
shockingly.
When things are parodies, these critics, they don't understand the source material. I say this all the time about adaptations of books. They obviously haven't read the book, and it's like, yeah, they're critics, they're allowed to review it and whatever, but at least say you have no idea what you're reviewing, because you don't. And so many good adaptations of movies are considered shit movies because they just haven't, like Roger Ebert or whoever, didn't read what it's based on, or they don't know what it's parodying. And man, stuff like that just drives me crazy.
What you got, Nick?
Also, the problem with that, and the studio itself don't understand what the filmmaker is doing. Like it happened with Half Baked too. They snatched the movie away, re-edited, and you can tell that the better movie is in there somewhere.
Right. You can't tell the better movie is in there with Pootie Tang, but
that's a perfect example of a well-loved movie that could maybe use some work. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's crazy. The studio just didn't know, but yeah, Pootie Tang is hilarious. And for those even are familiar with where Pootie Tang came from, the Chris Rock show on HBO.
Yep.
And especially if you like that as source material, yeah, that's the main reason I knew about it. I didn't see it in theaters, but yeah, Pootie Tang is.
Like
29% on Rotten Tomatoes. So.
Yeah, that registers to me as like a very good movie. Like to me, it's a genuinely hilarious movie.
I always hear that. People love it.
I feel like it needs like a reevaluation from like modern critics. like he's standing out on the curb and he's like a little like 8-year-old. She's like, Pootie, take your shit, Pootie, and she's throwing like toys out the window like a big
yeah, it starts with clothes and then it's like teddy bears and then like a tricycle. Like it's great. Yeah. There's a lot of really subtle, funny things in that movie.
I'm mad that I didn't think of it because I think that's like that's like a in my head. Like I'm like, dude, Pootie Tang is hysterical.
So what'd you write down though?
Nick, yeah.
Like, only one movie like really came to my head like immediately that I like when it came out. I thought it was like the best movie of all time, but it probably has like 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. Saving Silverman. If anybody's seen Saving,
that's a great pick.
I know this movie well.
It's like 20 years old. Not really a classic. It could be, in my opinion. Like to me, like this was one of the first times I remember seeing Jack Black in like a prominent role, where he was like funny.
Yeah.
I was maybe 11 or 12 when it came out. Like I wasn't very old, but I was old enough. I was kind of the audience for the movie. Really, it was like PG-13. I remember watching it on HBO and like rolling laughing at it. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I think like this is comedy in its purest form. Like this is the funniest movie ever, and it's not. And like I watched it probably like 2-3 years ago. It had been like a while since I'd seen it, and I was like, oh, this is stupid. Like I was just watching like, oh, this is aged like milk. Like this is dumb.
Like milk.
But it is very funny, and it's a movie that like I watched a lot when I was young, and like showed it to my sister, and like we'll still quote it, and it's like one of those things like I'll quote it, and people will just look at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Saving Silverman." Everybody doesn't know that movie. Oh, that's weird.
The only thing that I'll occasionally pull to quote from Saving Silverman is Steve Zahn. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
I love both of those guys. I was never a big fan of the movie, but I love both of those guys.
And like, yeah, it's not a good movie. Like, if I watched it today for the first time.
I love Amanda Peet, too. She's so beautiful.
So good. Yeah, like Amanda Peet.
She's so hot in that movie.
Good. Yeah. Like, I get it. I mean, she's like such a bitch, but it's like, you get it. It's like, well, look, she's so hot. And Steve Zahn and Jack Black are like you said, like
money.
100%. They read the script
You're
and
right.
were like, this is great. We're
You're
gonna
right.
the funniest performances ever in this stupid movie. And it's so funny, but like it's really not. But that was the first one that came to my mind where I was like, I'll never call that a bad movie, because like in my head when I was like 12, I thought it was The Godfather. Like I was like, this is my favorite movie of all time. I would watch it. This is back, this is before digital cable or anything like that. Like you had to like turn on HBO or whatever and hope it would be on there, and it would be like coming up tonight at 8:00. I'm like, all right, I just gotta be back here in 8 hours. And I eventually bought it like with my own money and watched it 100 times. I've never seen the R-rated version. There is an R-rated version that's like very popular on DVD. I've never seen it. I've only ever seen the regular version, but the regular version is funny. I feel like if it was R-rated, it'd be like the Dumb and Dumber, like the unrated cut that was like unnecessary. It would be like, oh,
you might not even like the unrated one. It's like when you learn all the lyrics to the song, it's the clean radio version, and then you buy the album, and you're just like, wait, what happened? What's going on? My mom
did that. Remember the song "It's Been a While" by Stain?
Yes.
Remember that song? Yep. The song sucked. It was like 20 years ago. My mom thought that was the best song in the world, and she went to Target and bought the CD, and like the CD is all curse words, and like that song has a bunch of curse words in it. She gave me the CD. She was like, I don't want this. I was like, I don't want it either.
Walmart used to only sell clean CDs. So I remember we had Ice Cube, Kill at Will, and we had that. And then you go to Walmart, and it was just called At Will, and it had a picture of his face close up. But we had to buy that one because they had different songs on it. So we had to make sure we had the full discography in the days before YouTube and stuff.
I used to work there, and Green Day refused to sell their albums there. And I would be like, I'm going to buy this fucking CD, and I would have to go somewhere else. These are first world problems, but it was a problem.
I think, I want to say I saw Saving Silverman in the theater. Like, I was visiting my grandma. She's already in a small town in Indiana, and there was like a little rinky-dink, like 3-screen theater. We'd seen one movie, and it was that or Dude, Where's My Car, and she just did not want to watch Dude, Where's My Car.
Could also be on this list. But an objectively bad movie that is funny.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as Saving Silverman. Like, are you shitting me? And it's probably got a higher Rotten Tomatoes score. And it's more considered like, I don't know if I call it a classic, but it is kind of like people reference that movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
People was like, oh, it's not as good as Saving Silverman or Pootie Tang.
When James Caan? I don't want to say it the wrong way. James Caan passed away. Nick posted about Mickey Blue Eyes, and to me that's another example I always bring up, because I never rate this movie higher than like 2.5. I don't know what you guys think. Nick probably thinks higher, but I watch it all the time. It like relaxes me. It's when I have so many movies like that I don't think are that good. But I'm always like, damn it, I want to watch Mickey Blue Eyes again. And I think Nick was saying something similar.
I remember renting that. We used to rent movies, like, every week. We would rent stacks of movies, and I would watch them with my parents.
Yeah, we know.
that was just one of them. Like, we rented, and like the part where it's Hugh Grant, and he's trying to speak
Yes.
with the Italian, like the inflection, and he's so bad at it. And it's so funny. And we would laugh and laugh. And you think, it's like you said, it's like, obviously every person that watched this thought this was as funny as I did, right? And then you look, and it's like 30%. It's like, you mean 30% of all critics thought this was funny?
Let me see.
That's not right.
He says, like, get the hell out of here.
He's like, what do you want for steak? And he's like, rah. She's like, rah? He's like, raw? And it's so funny. I said, like, all it really takes is somebody giving 100% when they really could have just cashed the paycheck and done it.
Yeah, it's just silly fun.
Let me see.
And critics don't like that, but it's just silly fun. Like,
Critics
when you want to
approve.
relax, you're not going to throw on, like, I don't know, Pulp Fiction. I'm sure you guys do, but when I want to relax, it's going to be like
would
Mickey Blue
not.
Eyes, you know?
Well, I need to scroll. Where's Interstellar?
Let me see. Dude, Where's My Car on Rotten Tomatoes? 17% on the tomato meter. 47 audience score.
I think I just checked Mickey Blue Eyes and it's 45. I wanted to make sure that I was right. So,
Saving Silverman. 19%. 51% audience score. Saving Silverman is better.
Yeah.
I would have thought Saving Silverman was in, like, the single. Because I remember, like,
I like some of those too.
I remember in, like, 2004, my mom got me a subscription to Entertainment Weekly. And I would get them every week, and I just became obsessed. Like, I was like, dude, this is so fun. I love reading their reviews. So I went online once I eventually, like, got a computer around that time, and, like, I would look up their old reviews. You can't even do that anymore. But I would look up and see, like, well, what did they give? And I remember they gave Saving Silverman an F. And I think that was, like,
For fun.
Yeah.
I was like, what? F? Not even like a D? I read and they were just like, it's stupid.
At least a D's passing.
It's experiences like this, Nick, that made us ignore reviews from a certain age, I think. Because, like, what do you mean Billy Madison is not a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? Like,
Yeah.
fuck all you guys.
Yeah.
I have my own ideas, you know. And my university roommate, like, Big Daddy is in my top 10.
Big Daddy.
My university roommate would always make fun, like, we're still best friends. She would always make fun of me for that. She's like, okay, Big Daddy, to you, cinematic excellence is Big Daddy. It's like, yes, that's exactly right. Like, still to this day, you know?
If we didn't have that Morbius Daredevil segue, I was literally going to say Who Wants to Throw a Dart and Hit an Adam Sandler movie.
Well, yeah. Happy Gilmore is a ripe tomato or whatever you call it, but the other ones, no. So I was a little surprised, but...
Like, my favorite Adam Sandler movie, like, I'll say is The Wedding Singer. Like, it just
Yeah,
is.
far and away.
But I think that might be a critically acclaimed one, Nick.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a positive. It's probably in the 60s or 70s on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I'm like, in the big picture, is it that much better than Big Daddy?
Right!
No, like...
Is it or like The Waterboy, to me, is like one of his funniest movies? I'm like, is it really that much better than The Waterboy? I don't know.
Exactly.
Critics just watch a movie like, this isn't getting Oscar nominations, so it's bad.
Yeah, and it's like...
It drives me crazy. Like, evaluate a comedy for what it... Oh, one of the most shocking, Step Brothers. I thought Step Brothers was a critically acclaimed movie. I just thought it was because so many, I guess, famous people talk about it as a reference, like Sofia Coppola, or I think, or who is it? Was it Jared Leto? What? Anyways, famous people always say Step Brothers is like their favorite movie. So I just assumed it was critically acclaimed because everyone likes Step Brothers. It's not. It's fucking shocking. When you watch Step Brothers, what are you expecting? Are you expecting, like,
Chewbacca
Cinderella
masks.
Man? Like, what are you expecting?
Is
Like,
Step Brothers rotten?
Yes, it
It
is.
is. I think it's in like the 50s.
It's
I remember-
shocking. That was
I
the
remember
most
seeing
shocking.
theater and thinking like it was good. I was like, well, that wasn't as good as Anchorman or Talladega. And like at that exact that time, that was summer 2008. Like when it was in theaters, it really wasn't like people didn't really talk about it. Like they weren't like.
Okay.
It was like, yeah, it's funny. And then it was by the time it came out on DVD, and then like when it was on TV, it was the same thing. Kind of happened with Elf. Like Elf did well, but by the time it had been out for like 2 years, all of a sudden it was like everybody's favorite Christmas movie. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I think that kind of happened with Step Brothers. Like over time, everybody was like, "This is the funniest movie I've ever seen." I've only ever seen 5 movies, but this.
All right, let's take a break and I'll come back and do my pick. Kicking off the second half. I've gotten to the habit of like setting up my Letterboxd favorites to like be the theme of the next episode. So like I can pick one of these 4. One of them is like a group of movies, so I'll save that for like my next pick because that's probably all I have time for. I'm gonna stick with like Nick's like early 2000s comedy theme, and I'm gonna go with 40 Days and 40 Nights, like one of them like American Pie baby sex comedies. It's bad, but I enjoy it. Like Josh Hartnett giving up like sex for Lent, and Shannon Sossman, and who's the chick he was trying to get over? I'm blanking on her name. But then everybody like gets word of what he's trying to do, and they try to sabotage him, and like that's where the humor ensues. Yeah. It's again not good, but I enjoy it.
I think that's amazing. Like, we were all like kind of the age, like we were like the people they were selling that to. It was like, here, watch this.
That's what I'm saying.
You're all like,
corrupt your brain.
It's like, yeah, it didn't matter if it was bad. It was like, oh, boobs.
Basically.
It's like, oh, they're doing stuff. It's not as good as Pretty Tank.
Never seen that movie, so maybe I'll add it to the list.
I mean, it was like really when it came out, or it seemed popular when it came out.
Yeah, like
he was so cute, and he kind of didn't really go anywhere. You know, it was like Hollywood Homicide.
Pearl Harbor.
Didn't he marry Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas? Or
no, that's Josh J.
Yeah.
It's not the same person.
It's not.
Like, take out maybe The Faculty, which I think is like legit good. Like Josh Hartnett's whole filmography is bad movies that you might like.
I was gonna say, like, Steve Zahn, he is so talented, but he had a run of those ridiculous comedies in the 2000s. Remember National Security?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Strange Wilderness.
I'm a fanistan, as you guys know. There's this I won't say terrible. There's mediocre movie called Management they did together. I don't know what she was thinking. He was in so many of those, and now he finally has that show on HBO, so I guess good for him, White Lotus. But he had the weirdest career up until that point, and he's so talented. Let me just check because, yes, Daddy Daycare is not critically acclaimed. That's one of my favorites, and he's in that, so...
And Steve Zahn was actually in a decent movie in 2001, which wasn't a comedy, with Paul Walker.
Joyride.
Joyride.
Joyride is amazing.
And that movie doesn't get talked about enough. But yeah, Steve Zahn, yeah, I'm glad he's getting his flowers.
Finally, yeah. After like how many years in the business? 30, right? At least, because he was on Friends.
Yeah,
he was like Oscar worthy in the movie Rescue Dawn with Christian Bale. Have you ever seen Rescue Dawn?
No.
Yeah. I remember thinking Steve was gonna get awards buzz for that movie. He didn't. Like he
is that talented. I totally agree.
Like, dude, he's so good in this. I hope they remember this movie, and like they just didn't. I think it came out in the summer.
He was a scene stealer in War for the Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this is why he got picked for this show, or I don't know if he auditioned or what, but good for him. He finally has a...
So, Randy.
Sup, dude?
What's your movie, 40 Days, 40 Nights?
Yes.
And somebody brings up an interesting discussion about that movie and what happens to him.
Oh, no, it definitely happens.
And it's quite... ridiculous. I don't know if you want to say, you can't say certain words on YouTube, but... I mean, but that's what happened, right?
Yeah, he
was against his will.
Yeah, he was like confined or restricted or whatever.
And
now I know it.
Yeah, and she came in and he was saying no, and yes, it definitely went down.
Oh my god!
And it really doesn't get talked about. I mean,
because it was 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 20 years ago, it was like,
well, it was a guy, so it's funny or something.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. I forgot about that because I do have an old review of that somewhere, and I was just like, this movie's okay, but I don't even remember. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that was the character was his ex, and came in.
You look at
Wow.
Old School. You look at Old School when Luke Wilson wakes up with what's her name, Alicia Cuthbert,
Yeah.
and she's like underage, and it's like a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should, and it's like, call the cops. I was hearing Josh Hartnett. You were saying, like, I heard he turned down like every superhero role back in the day.
Wow.
He was offered Spider-Man. He was offered Superman. And
I remember that.
He said he just wasn't. Heath Ledger said he kind of did the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a lot more believable.
And that was
Josh
a
was
period.
kind of hot for a second, and then
Yeah. And there was a period in like his first 4 or 5 movies where he didn't comb his hair. And LL Cool J even pointed. LL Cool, that was an ad lib. I don't know if y'all remember that scene.
And comb your hair. Halloween
like, comb your
H2O.
hair. Halloween H2O.
that's ridiculous.
That was his first movie, though.
Yeah. And then the Faculty, and then yeah, that's
Fucking
right.
Pearl Harbor.
LL Cool J is an underrated actor. Because Deep Blue Sea, another perfect example, LL Cool J is amazing in that movie. Like, I don't know if I really enjoyed it, and I heard it after so much hype, like, this is the greatest cult movie, whatever, and I enjoyed it, it was funny, but I can get why critics didn't like it. But I liked it. I mean, that's my speed, you know? I don't like seeing gory shit. It was funny. It was, like, funny gory shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
A
That's why
fucking
with most of
shark
those, like,
ate me.
90s blockbuster type movies. Not that I think that they're good, but like
Yeah.
I was young when Godzilla came out, the 90s one. So I didn't care. Like I was
Gross.
like, I'm just watching this to see if Godzilla destroys this city. And he totally does. Like I don't know if you've seen it. He totally just rampages the city. So I was like 7, 8, and I was like, all right, that was fun. And then you get older. It's like I remember thinking Batman and Robin was fine. When I was 7, it was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
You were literally
Like
the key demographic.
And
Yeah.
people were like, that was the worst movie ever. And I was like, was it really? Like, have you ever
And
seen
you said Godzilla, you were 7. I bet after Godzilla, you went and ran to the restaurant that was promoting it. They got the meal, right?
Taco Bell?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
I had the toy, and I had a beach towel from the Godzilla.
That shit even got its own cartoon.
It did, and it was
Yeah.
fun. It was fun. As like an 8-year-old, I was like, "This is fun." Lost in Space. That movie sucked, but like it came out, I was like, "This is fine. This is entertainment. This is fine."
I remember
I
liking that.
Entertainment.
I'm like, now I'm like, this is kind of ass. Like this is stupid. How did somebody watch this and think, all right, cut?
Oh,
Print.
man.
But like at the time, so it's hard to like. There's only so many, but like I recognize that those are bad now. Whereas like when Saving Silverman comes out, it was like impossible. I was like, there's no fucking way everyone doesn't love this movie. And then you look and it's like the narrator. It's like that was not the case.
Morgan
Songs
Freeman.
that I thought that were good in childhood, and I still think they're good, but they're not considered good. Like I'm a bit older than Nick, so I've talked about them before, but like My Stepmother is an Alien, I still think that's good. And then Ladybugs, I still think that's good. Like I don't think these are bad. I still get why I liked them when I was a kid because I've watched them recently, and I'm like, these are still funny. I don't understand the problem, but hey, you know.
But it's like you said, Home Alone 2.
That shocked me.
It's impossible.
Home Alone 2 is amazing. I'm sorry.
Well, it's better than Home Alone 3, 4, 5, and 6.
That shocked the hell out
And
of me
Home Sweet
because
Home Alone.
What I think critics are doing are just seeing this is a sequel, I'm going to rate it bad.
Yeah.
Because so many sequels that I'm like, wait a minute, everyone considers these good sequels are considered bad on Rotten Tomatoes. Like that Home Alone 2 was the most shocking one to me. I thought it was understood that was a classic. That's really weird.
I thought of that, and then that's when I made this list, and I thought I'm kind of that way with a lot of Christmas movies. Like, not that I think that they're great, but I do tend to watch them at Christmas.
Of course, yeah.
Like Jingle All the Way is a movie that a lot of people watch at Christmas. And that's dog shit. Like, that's not a good movie at all.
We will not be slandering Jingle All the Way.
But
I also think it's not. I also think it's dog shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, I love Jingle All the Way.
How
Again,
do I
it came
hang
out
up on individuals?
And it's funny. And I watch it now, and I'm like, this is funny. But it's mostly funny because I watched it for like 15 years before anybody told me it was not good. Like, it was like, oh, that's shit. And I'm like, wait, that's shit?
I've randomly told my wife like 3 times over the past couple weeks, and don't forget, you're my number one customer.
I probably quote that more than any Arnold movie. Like in the Arnold, like, you tell Daddy to put lights on our house. Like I'll do like the most random fucking line.
Put the cookie down.
Yeah, put that cookie down.
Yeah, people love that movie. I admit it. Not
I
me.
watch it every Christmas.
Predator
And, like, I'm
Predator
totally
quotes are
saying,
coming soon.
Like the Santa Claus sequels,
Gross.
nobody likes those. To me, they're fine. Like I'm like, dude, it's something to put on at Christmas.
I might have to sit through them before the Disney Plus show.
I think 2 is good. Like to me, 2 is like a pretty good movie. 3
Yeah.
is kind of shit.
Yeah, 3's
It's
trash.
funny. Martin Short's in it. Like Martin Short giving 50% is still funnier than most
Yeah,
people.
he's a genius.
He's been given 110% on Hulu the past 2 years.
Yeah, he's a
Yes.
genius.
So I'm like, it's worth putting on at Christmas time. I'm the same way, like Christmas with the Cranks.
Just
Shit.
admit that you
Horrible.
like Deck the Halls.
No, Deck the Halls is my line.
Deck
As
the
it turns
Halls
out,
is so
That's my
trash.
line.
That's my line. Incestually lusting after your own daughters is apparently.
Deck the Halls is so trash.
I'm gonna add it to do not watch.
Right.
Please.
Four Christmases is like
Good.
not a good movie, but I like watching it every.
hilarious.
It's already become a comfort movie, and it's like I just started watching it a few years ago.
To me, that's unskippable at Christmas time.
Yeah.
To me, that's hilarious. We quote it. Again, it's a movie, Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. I don't think that's considered a bad movie, but it's not well loved. Like, people don't love it. My sister and I will quote Just Friends like nonstop. Like, we think it's the funniest movie. So I think it's just Christmas stuff. Like Surviving Christmas with Ben Affleck, not good at all, but it's fine to me. Like, I'm like, dude, this is funny. But Deck the
No,
Halls,
you were right. Just Friends is not critically acclaimed. Perfect
yeah,
example.
yeah.
Because I always hear, I actually do hear people like it, but maybe that's just my brother.
It could be. Like, to me, I'm like, Anna Faris is hysterical in Just Friends. Like,
Yeah.
that might be her best performance in anything ever.
I mean, during
And
the
I'm like-
holiday seasons, I think a lot of bad movies get passes because of the time of the year.
Yeah, from me.
Yeah.
From me specifically. Like, I'm like, Christmas with the Cranks.
I always say that's a good money maker. Like, make a Christmas song or a movie, and you know people
Yeah.
will like you no matter
Residuals.
what.
It's true.
Keeping the around the panel thing going though. Nick Hush. Melissa, you're up. Unless Home Alone 2 was your pick.
I'm up. Okay. I mean, just like so many comedies I like. You guys know how I feel about semi-pro. Like I like Will Ferrell. He can do no wrong almost. I love the 50 Shades series. I know a lot of men do not. A lot of critics
What's
do not
that?
like. People will log on Letterboxd to log the third movie and say the series is horrible. Why are you even watching it? Why are you even reviewing it? Why are you even rating it? It's not for you. Like, I don't understand people who hate things so much. I would never log on to Morbius and talk about it. Like, why would I? But anyways, I could go on all day. But again, a
'Cause
lot
it's
of things
Morbin
for
time.
women, a lot of things based on books, critics will just automatically say it's not. Like, The Girl on the Train, that's a good book, that's a good movie, that's a good performance. Like, Emily Blunt was nominated for a SAG. She should have been nominated for the Oscar, and that's not critically acclaimed. Like, these critics are insane to me. Like, I'm sorry it stars a woman and you're so disgusted. Like, that's the only thing I can think of because I don't understand. Like, it makes me mad for days. So, yeah, I could go on forever. But a lot of movies starring women, a lot of movies starring black people are not critically acclaimed that are among my favorites. And it drives me insane.
I love that. Like, I'll be the time. Like, sorry, it's not the man on the train. Like, I'm sorry you like.
An alcoholic alcoholic man on the train, it would be rated 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it's an alcoholic woman. God forbid. Like, I came out of that being like, Tate Taylor is a genius, and nobody agreed with me. But I read the book, and he did a great job, respecting that book. So that's why I get so upset. I don't understand where these reviews come from, Drives me crazy.
Eric, what you got? Is Drive Me Crazy your pick?
What's it?
What's the Joan Hart? Drive me crazy.
No. She drives me crazy. I got a thing for, soft sixes with a lazy eye. So,
Come on, Sid.
Oh, man. That was a good one. Yeah. So this one has a very interesting history. And I love it because it's giving me one of several best movie theater experiences. So, where do you start? It's a movie directed by its star. Stars Johnny as a banker. And it became just a phenomenon in the midnight screenings. The movie is The Room.
Yes.
And so it's
a masterpiece.
I don't know if you all ever experienced this movie with an audience.
I haven't. I would like to.
It's something. The stuff that people, it's like audience participation. Just the stuff that happens with the movie, with the spoons and the cheering. But the movie itself is just, I actually saw it before it blew up because Adult Swim used to run it. And it was so bizarre. And this dude, and actually meeting Tommy Wiseau is an experience just like watching a movie. He had a whole 3-minute conversation with him. I remember exactly everything he said, but I couldn't tell you what he was talking about. But no, the movie is just so bad in its choices. Its characters show up unannounced, never seen again. Story beats are crazy. He's supposed to be a banker, and he's obviously doesn't know how the American banking system works. He's like, I couldn't cash the check because it was an out-of-state bank. Just stupid. But no, it's just so bizarrely bad. And Melissa brought up budgets. The movie has a $6 million budget. It's like 3 locations.
Yeah.
It's the aforementioned Room, the title.
The Room.
And it's bizarre dubbing. It's one scene, I'll send it to y'all. It's like he goes in a flower shop. It's just a bizarre conversation. They're like, oh, hello, doggy. Like, you're my favorite customer.
Hi, Johnny, you're my favorite customer.
But it's just a weird type of bad movie. It's like all the stars aligned and just wow. And
yeah, The Room is a masterpiece of bad movie making, and you can't fake that. That's not like me and Sci-Fi Channel are gonna make Sharknado 5, and isn't it funny because it's bad? Haha. Like this is like legit, like bad, like real bad. Like he thought he was making an Oscar-worthy picture, and it's bad movie perfection. Like,
and when it started to blow up, they kind of remarketed. They remarketed saying it was always meant to be funny.
Right.
Which
not.
It obviously.
That's where Rob Zombie got it from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it
Nick
was
said,
not.
Nick asked me one time when I was speaking with Tommy Wiseau, he said, Nick asked me, does he know that the movie itself is bad? Like, unironically. And I'm like, Nick, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
No one knows.
Poor guy.
So, we can end the episode now because Eric takes the crown for the worst movie that we're gonna like on here.
Like, Joey compared the Munsters. He said it was like a porn parody. I remember watching The Room for the first time and thinking, this is like one of those Cinemax porn movies. Like, I was like, the whole vibe, like the way it would transition from scene, it would show like the bridge, and you'd have that music, and then the acting.
Piano's playing,
sticking straight to the script and not, loosening up or anything. I remember thinking, I was like, this is like a softcore porn without the porn. Like, this is like watch one of those and it was all plot. You'd be so pissed. Like, you'd be like, this is so disappointing. And I was like, that's what this movie is.
Oh my god.
Like,
but unfortunately,
it's exactly like if you watch that with that in mind, you're gonna be like, holy shit, this is what that is. Like, the acting doesn't matter. Everybody is sticking to the script like verbatim. But it's usually so you can get to the next sex scene. It's like, that's what the people want. And it's like the room is that.
It's just
sex.
without the sex.
Yeah.
It's what
But it's
nothing
funny
that
the
people
movie
want.
spawned everything that it has with Greg Sestero writing the book and then the movie coming out. Excuse me. The movie coming out. Like, man, have y'all seen The Disaster Artist?
I've seen that. I haven't seen The Room.
Yeah.
Same.
The book is fantastic. The movie's hilarious.
I
If you've
really
ever
like
seen
that
The Room,
movie.
like,
Yeah.
It shines a pretty awesome light on it. And the saddest thing out of all of it to me, like, I love The Room. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so hilarious. Like, every time I watch it, it just absolutely slays me. But it sucks that he's now self-aware, because we're never going to get another movie like this. Like, anything he's done since has always just been terrible, but not fun terrible, because he's self-aware that
he knows
a bad, funny movie. Right. So, like, this was just the absolute perfect storm of the hubris of Tommy Wiseau and his complete lack of talent, and somehow having $7 million to make it. It's just, it's bad movie perfection. Mwah.
Joey, what you got next?
So my next one, like Erica had pointed out earlier, is a Cannon film, another Cannon film. I saw it in the movie theater with my entire family. It was my birthday present for my whole family to go to the movie theater together and see Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. This is one of my favorite bad movies of all time. I've owned it on VHS. I own it on DVD and Blu-ray. And it's just batshit insane. If you've ever seen the first one, the first one is bad, and it's great. I love it. I love both these movies. Don't get it twisted. I'm not making fun of them. I legitimately love these movies. But the first one is at least just a bad kind of like movie that you see every 5 minutes where the kids are dancing and then they, overcome something. And it's funny and it's poorly acted, but, it has a plot. Breakin' 2 is just batshit insane. They made it 7 months after the first one was released, so it came out the same year. And there's script. There's no script. It's literally they have to save their teen center, and they have to do it by raising money, and that's just about as much of the script as you get. There's no breakdancing cures people's illnesses in it. The power of breakdancing allows Turbo to dance on the ceiling of his apartment.
Wow.
Like, it just goes nuts. And
Joey, let me interrupt you right quick.
Yeah.
Horrible movie overall, objectively, right? But you got to give credit, filmmaking wise, to that room scene when he's dancing. That is, they took advantage of because they took the rotating room from A Nightmare on Elm Street, and they got
It's like Inception.
and basically it's a great scene. Filmmaking wise, it's probably the only good scene in the movie, right?
Well, I like when they go to the hospital, or when Ice-T randomly shows up. There's the part where Turbo falls down the stairs, turns into a stuntman 3 times his size, and then lands at the bottom of the stairs as himself. There's a lot of great stuff.
The good terrible scenes. But as far as just that dancing scene,
and even in the first one, the dancing is fantastic because they got legitimate breakers from like New York City and Los Angeles. The guys that played Ozone and Turbo and Electro Rock, those guys were actual dancers. They weren't actors, which is part of the problem, but they actually could dance. So that was at least something. But yeah, it's so bad, and it's so batshit insane. And I just love it, and I love subjecting people to it. I like the idea that I've made my entire family go to the movies and see it. I can only fathom what my mom and dad were thinking as they sat there watching Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
And it has its
sadly, only 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. When it's in my heart, it's 100. So
better than Saving Silverman.
It's kind of famous as a great sequel title. I always hear people reference.
Yeah,
Right.
I was just about to say that, Melissa. People, it's got its place in pop culture. Like Kevin
For
Smith
sure.
put it in
Right.
what's the movie with not the religious movie, but Matt
Dogma?
Damon brought it up. Yeah, what's
Dogma?
that?
Dogma?
Yes, in Dogma. And Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are talking about it. And you're like, Ben Affleck to Matt, you're like, yeah, you're the one that thought Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo would be the biggest box office hit of all time. And he's like, hey, box office pending.
Which one of these movies was Van Damme in?
The first
Van
one.
Damme was in the first one as an extra.
Right.
Just in the background with a singlet on, dancing.
Dancing for no reason.
Yeah.
Just like in
But R.I.P. to Ozone, or Shabba-Doo,
Right.
Ozone,
Right.
recently passed away. And I don't know if Bruno Falcone was in this movie. He was the villain in the first one, but he recently passed away too. He played on Poppin' Taco. So, but nah,
he was in it briefly. They're in it briefly in the second
Yeah.
one, but they team up at the end and dance to save miracles. So.
And they actually name the documentary. One of the documentary about Canon Films is a play on the title, Electric Boogaloo.
Right.
I forget the name of it, but just look it up. That's a good.
I mean, we could just do Canon Films like all day. I mean, the American Ninja quadrilogy. I mean, there's so many great, terrible movies in there.
Yeah, so we got 2 Canon movies on the list.
Nick, what you got next?
No surprise.
Like I said, like I made a list, and most of my list is like movies that I think are good, or like when they came out, I loved them, that are just not generally considered great. Like I thought the 03 Hulk was good. I still think it's good, whereas most people will be like, "Oh, that movie sucks." I'm like, no, it doesn't suck. It's actually as good as the MCU.
I think Ang Lee was very ahead of his time.
Yeah, like a little, at least a little. Like I was like, oh yeah, Ang Lee wanted to make like an artsy.
He made a comic book movie.
And we just weren't ready for it. But I was like, no, this is cool. Like Daredevil with Ben Affleck. At the time, Daredevil to me is top 5 Marvel characters ever. So at the time, I couldn't even believe, like we said, like I was like, we have gotten nothing but Batman and Superman for like the last 20 years, and like we're getting Daredevil, and I couldn't believe it was happening. So the fact that it was as good as it was like shocking to me. Like I was like, holy shit, that was great. And so then now, like people were like, oh, that was trash. I'm like, fuck you. Like I'm like, maybe it wasn't great. Like fuck, it wasn't trash. But like one movie that the first time I saw it, I thought was like genuinely great. Like it was like blew me away. I was like, holy shit, that was an amazing follow-up. That critically, I think it's considered good, but like critically it just didn't really deliver, and like nobody really talks about it. They're kind of talking about it more now with the release of Top Gun, is Tron Legacy. Not considered a bad movie, but I'm pretty sure.
I was really hoping you were going to say Iron Eagle, but
I thought that's where you're going too.
But again, like, do I love Iron Eagle?
I was going to say Top Gun 1.
Like, Tron Legacy, I'm pretty sure has like a negative Rotten Tomato. And like,
let's check that tomato.
I'm pretty sure it's in like the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, I need to look that. That's amazing if it is, because I think this is.
That bewilders me. But I remember feeling like that was like the rare movie that like I've always liked Tron. I feel like most people like Tron, or it's at least kind of considered like a sci-fi classic, like it was like a groundbreaker. I've always thought it was like a really cool.
It was 51%.
51%.
Nick was right. Wow, you have a good memory, Nick.
Blows my mind. 51? That's not even that low. But I'm like, you're telling me this isn't 98? Like, I remember seeing it in the theater, like, I was like, holy fuck, that was such a good follow-up to Tron. And it was so dramatic. And I didn't need Tron is not a dramatic movie. But it, like, brought out, it, like, made it, it's kind of like Top Gun did. Like, it took this movie and, like, added more dramatic stakes. And it, like, brought Jeff Bridges back and, like, gave an awesome performance. And I was like,
Yeah.
And the effects, like, blew me away. Like, I was like, holy shit, look how far we've come in, like, 25 years. oh my god! And then Daft Punk did the music, and it's like the best soundtrack I had ever heard. Like, this is so creative and so cool and so well directed, and like I got home and like read a review for it, and it was like,
ass
2.5 out of 4. Like, it was fine. I was like, wait,
Wow.
like that was like what? Like we saw the same movie, and like to this day, I still think it's like a great. It's not something I've kind of been like, well, actually, it's not that great. Like, I watched it maybe a year or two ago, like just out of boredom, and I was like, yeah, that's still fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It's maybe not.
And you mentioned Daft Punk, Nick. And seriously, I'm not even joking about this. If Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross can be nominated and win an Oscar for The Social Network, at the very least, Daft Punk should be nominated
That should have been
for that score. That's some amazing music.
I was like, dude, the Tron Legacy soundtrack should be Album of the Year at the Grammy. Like, I was like telling everyone, I was like, this is the
I'm gonna
coolest.
listen now. You've convinced me.
It's so cool. It's maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but like not everybody likes like
Electronica or whatever.
sci-fi bullshit. But like if you can handle that, it's so good. And like Garrett Hedlund kind of took some shit. Like, he's kind of one of those guys where it was like, we talk about guys that they kind of tried to make a
Sam
thing.
Worthington, Taylor
He's
Kitsch.
not one of those guys. I thought he was fine in the movie. It wasn't really about him. Like,
He's
Olivia
good.
Wilde stole most of the show as her character, and then it was about Jeff Bridges' character. It was about Neil Flynn, or what was his name? Yeah, that's right. Sam Flynn. Anyway, Kevin Flynn. Neil Flynn is someone else. Kevin Flynn. Sorry. But it was about him. And like, to me, like, it just worked. Like, you just watch a movie where it's like, this is supposed to work this way. And it just, hook, line, and sinker. Like, I was like, wow-wee. I wish I could have seen it in IMAX at the time.
Oh, you didn't?
That wasn't really a thing over here yet. Like,
oh, man. Because it's one of the earlier movies that they shot a lot in IMAX.
Yeah,
IMAX cameras.
I didn't have an IMAX theater in 2010. It was like 3D. Like, they would say Avatar didn't invent 3D, and I was like, well, no, but it was really one of the first movies to like. It was like they put it in theaters, and they were like, you have to see this in 3D. Like, you have to.
Yeah, it opened doors. Yeah.
Friday the 13th Part 3 invented 3D, sir.
What?
Oh no.
Jaws 3.
Yeah. But like, not the red and the green. God damn it. But anyway, I don't know. I probably could have picked something else that's like actually shitty. But like, that's one
Like
of those like
I'm about
like,
to
the
do.
fact that it has
He
a-
defends it. He defends it. You convinced me. I kind of want to see it now.
Like, the fact that it has a Rotten Tomato is like wild to me, especially in hindsight. Like, in time, the fact that more people didn't come around to it and be like, actually, this is like kind of a masterpiece. I'm like, are you shitting me?
Yeah, people love Jeff Bridges. I don't know what happened there.
Dude.
And that was like right after he won an Oscar too, so there was like a little bit of free. So it was like Jeff Bridges returns in 2 roles, and I was like, I was just hook, line, and sinker. I don't know. It was great to me.
All right. I think I'm going to defend some horror remakes.
Uh-oh.
I enjoy the Friday the 13th remake. I enjoy the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Nick, wipe your face. I enjoy the first Rob Zombie Halloween remake to keep Rob Zombie a running theme on this episode. I like them. I like Fast Jason.
You like them to do what?
I like him big and faster than normal, fool. I like Michael Myers in that first movie. You don't need the backstory, but I didn't hate it. And then
That's
like
the best part of the movie. Like, that's what I was saying. I was like, the best part of Michael Myers is that you don't 100% know his backstory, but that is the best part of the Rob Zombie movie to me. So I'm like, what do I know? Like, maybe, I don't know.
And then, like, in the Nightmare movie, when Freddy Krueger pops up on Katie Cassidy right before he kills her, I always jump. And if I can jump watching a horror movie, I'm not going to hate it.
I'll tell you this, which was a cool concept I'm glad they used for that, is the micro naps.
Yeah.
And that he was haunting them by that. That was a cool concept. That was they played with that a little more, but it's still a shitty movie. But yeah, it was.
It's not great. I don't really hate any of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Randy, you know where they filmed that Nightmare on Elm Street?
Not in Chicago.
They did. They filmed a little bit of it.
Go away.
The suburb. Yeah. Go look it up, buddy.
Go away.
But, oh man.
Springwood or whatever is supposed to be in Ohio.
Yes. But now, which one do you like the most? Which one you had to get rid of? Keep one. Between that Halloween, those remakes, Friday and Freddy.
Probably Halloween.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I think so.
I think the best of those slasher remakes was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was, like, good. Especially when it came out. Like, at the time, I was like, it's, like, actually scary, like you said. Like, it was effective. It's not bad, by definition. By the time Nightmare on Elm Street came out, I was like 20, 21, and had seen the original a billion times. And so I was already a little too jaded. Like, I was like, I went in being like, this is not going to be it. This is not going to be as good as... And I was right.
Fuck
Is that an official pick for you, Nick?
Do what?
Is that an official pick for you? The Texas Chainsaw?
Yeah, of like all those like really unnecessary remakes that they insisted on churning out in the 2000s, that was probably the best. They were like insistent, like they were like, I hope you want me to ruin this thing that you've loved for 30 years.
Thanks a lot, Michael Bay.
Here's The Hitcher. I'm like, who wanted this? Like, who wanted the remake of The Hitcher? But I don't think any of them were like god awful though. Like, I think there's worse Jason movies than the remake. Yeah. Had the remake come out when I was younger, I probably would have liked it more. Like, I thought Jason X was the shit when I was 12. So if the remake had come out when I was 12 and Jason X had come out when I was like 20, I'd have been like, this remake is great. Jason X is garbage.
I know it's interesting, those remakes. The Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. There's an actor that's in both of them and gets killed by Aaron Yu.
And his nightmare death is it's nonsense.
Connected universe.
Nick, why is it nonsense?
It's nonsense. I'll tell you why.
Because
it's like a live stream type of deal. It's not even a live stream. It's like a video that it gets posted online of him trying to stay awake.
I was going to bring this up.
In the video, he falls asleep and gets killed, like, by Freddy Krueger. Like, he gets killed by nothing, like, right on the video. And the video ends.
Yeah.
Hey, before his mom called the cops, she clicked upload.
He went, oh, shit, oh! And, like, hit the button. No, it doesn't happen. It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
So
I thought I was the only one who, like, yeah, then he gets a screwdriver to the throat or something. Freddy. Yeah. I mean, not Freddy. Jason. I
don't hate the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. It was directed by Samuel Bayer, who used to direct a lot of music videos. He did the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video. He used to do a lot of videos for Green Day. Like, so it's very stylish. Like, when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, it's got like a style. But I just think, like, I don't know. I remember initially thinking it was weird that he was supposed to be a child molester and not a child killer. But then it was implied through like half the movie that maybe he was innocent.
Innocent, yeah.
I was like, interesting take. But then it turns out he wasn't innocent. I'm like, oh. So he just diddled these kids and now he's trying to kill them. Like, this is so much worse than it was 20 minutes ago. And I'm like,
yeah, it's a cop-out. They really could have made it more intriguing if he was.
Yeah. I think, like now he's pissed because he died, so now he's going to kill him. That's more intriguing to me than just, I'm back to fuck with him some more. And it's like, no, that's gross. It's gross. Jason didn't do that. He had morals.
Oh, man.
He's a hockey fan. Probably got time to get one more in from everybody. Melissa, what you got?
I want to defend a genre that critics seem to hate, I call it buddy comedies or cop comedies or even interracial buddy cop movies. I love all of them. Bad Boys is a 5-star movie. Give me a fucking break. Tommy Boy is a 5-star movie. And then there's ones that I don't think are as good, but I still like. Nick will agree with me. Get Hard. Right? There's so many movies like that. Blue Streak is a fucking good movie, but again, anything Martin Lawrence, anything Eddie Murphy in the 2000s, Bad Company, I Spy. Randy introduced me to Bad Company. That's a Chris Rock movie. Again, any Chris Rock movie
is 36%.
That's a 5-star movie. Anything of those black comedians in the 2000s, love all those movies.
Oh, that's hate.
Yeah.
I posted Nothing to Lose the other day for its anniversary, and I got a few people saying, like, I think that movie's hysterically funny, and it's not critically acclaimed.
Please don't kill me, Freaky Jason.
There's so many.
That's crazy.
Of those. All of the Norm Macdonald movies. Okay, again, I don't think those are good, but I still like them. So, yeah, Dirty Work and Screwed. I mean, anyone who grew up at that time likes those movies.
Yeah.
Wow. Dirty Work is a classic.
Note to self.
Hysterically funny. Like Dave Chappelle and Blue Streak.
That's just racism. I mean, I'm sorry.
That's something. 36%.
How can you watch Blue Streak and not start laughing immediately?
Yeah.
He took
The
my shoelace
soundtrack-
and told me I couldn't read good.
Yeah, it's a stylish movie. Yeah, nothing wrong there.
I mean, there was this video that was trending with now Blue Streak came out 1999.
September.
There's a video of this little, like, 10-year-old boy doing the pizza delivery man. And, like, wow, that's amazing.
Put your hands on the oodles and noodles.
I'm telling you, it's just like, I know Eddie had some bad hits around that time, Pluto Nash or whatever, but he had some good movies in there. I like Showtime.
Life, Bowfinger.
I like those movies. So, not everything he did was shit, but people just did a huge paintbrush. Everything he did was shit.
Big old stroke.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, too. Like I said, like, 2003, 2004, everything Ben Affleck did, they were like, trash.
Geely?
I was like, is Jersey Girl really that bad compared to, or are you just remembering Geely and being like, yes, it was all horrible? The Jersey Girl was fine. It just wasn't great. It wasn't bad compared to something horrible. But yeah, Showtime is very funny with Eddie Murphy. Nobody ever
that's a good movie. Rene Russo, I mean, that's a good movie. People need to give these movies the second chance, but hey, if they're not accessible, then it's never going to happen, right?
I don't know. I remember thinking Big Mama's House when it came out was like genuinely hysterically funny, and I watched it like kind of recently. It's not that good a movie. So, it's been like
you know what? You're right. That's probably what made everyone discount all those Martin movies, but some of them are so good, you know?
Blue Streak is genuinely like hilarious. Like,
yes.
Everything Dave Chappelle says in Blue Streak is funny. Like, cut lips off, kiss my ass with them shits. Like, that's his, like, especially to like a 9-10-year-old. Like, I'm like,
that's right. It blew our minds. It definitely blew our minds. Yeah.
Eric, what you got next?
All right, I'm going back to the 80s. So this movie is now, if you all don't know who Dean Cundy is, the cinematographer, Google him right quick. And he did the cinematography for this cheesy 80s fight action movie starring Patrick Swayze called Roadhouse.
That's not positive tomato?
37%.
Whoa.
Really? What?
Yeah. It's Nick's favorite actor. Nick's favorite actor, Sam Elliott.
A lot of retrospective hating out here.
Roadhouse is like a classic. I guess that doesn't
matter.
That's
what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, man, this movie some of the best one-liners ever, and like the bad guys coming up to the club, like, we can't get in. Like, they're like, no. Like, what are these other people doing? Like, they're drinking and having a good time. And then he kicks at him. He's like, I want to have a good time too. And he tries to hit him, like, you're too stupid to have a good time.
Yeah, kids are shitty.
I always hear about this movie.
Yo,
You should definitely. It's something.
Isn't it crazy violent? I don't know if I'll be able to handle
this episode is why my tombstone will say "fuck Rotten Tomatoes."
Minor spoiler, Melissa.
Go ahead.
Minor spoiler. Patrick Swayze is fighting the guy, and it's a beautifully shot. Like I said, Dean Cundy. Look him up, and you'll see he did the cinematography guy for this movie. He's fighting the bad guy. Bad guy gets him a chokehold. Like, I used to F gas like you in prison. And then, and then Patrick Swayze, he takes his throat, rips his throat out.
Yes, that's what I've heard about. I heard something crazy like that happen in this movie.
So that wasn't bad enough. After his throat is ripped out, Patrick Swayze spins around and does a spin kick, kicks him in the water, and yells. No, not the yelling part, but.
When does the Ronda Rousey remake come out?
What's that?
When does the Ronda Rousey remake come out?
I hope never.
Never.
That's actually
Me too.
in the works.
It was rumored like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's not happening now.
Good.
I watch a lot of cult movie docs and read a lot of cult movie books. So, like, yeah, these movies, I know about so many without even watching them because people do love Roadhouse and movies like that.
There's a Blu-ray out there somewhere with a commentary from Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier because they love this movie so much, and it's fantastic. And this movie is fantastic, like I said. And just in case y'all didn't look up, I mentioned this for the last time. This movie is cheesy as ever, but it's so entertaining and funny. So Dean Cundy is the cinematographer for Halloween, The Thing, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park.
Wow.
Somehow,
Resume.
Roadhouse is in the middle.
Roadhouse, obviously.
You really filmed those dinosaurs?
Nice.
But yeah, Roadhouse. If you don't have it, buy it, watch it, rent it.
Yeah, I love
Look at
Roadhouse.
Melissa.
I don't know if I can do it.
I kind of
So, Melissa, it's not
Roadhouse as shitty when I was younger. But in my head, this is kind of before Rotten Tomatoes. I was just kind of thought it was a classic. Like I was like, dude, everybody loves Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it when I was younger.
They do.
And being like, this kind of sucks. Like, this is kind of stupid. And then coming around to it as older, like, oh, it's just over the top. It's so fun. How could you not love this? So, yeah, hearing that it's actually not, like, beloved universally is, like, weird to me now. Because it was like I had to come around on it. I should have just...
Yeah.
And that's mostly by the critics, because everybody who's seen it, it has a soft place in their heart.
Joey, what you got?
Always like, what are you expecting? Like, $1 Million Baby? Not every movie is going to be.
No,
yeah. It's a movie about a bouncer at a crappy barn club or something.
Yeah, like the poster is just like him. It's always him, like with his arms folded.
Yeah, with his arms.
Like the poster.
That tells you all you need to know.
Sometimes you gotta
His way or the highway.
Like that's the movie. Like if you are intrigued by that poster, you're gonna like the movie.
And Sam Elliott has been like 50 years old for the last 80 years.
No, I know. He looks the same, right, as Lebowski.
Yeah, and this is in '89. He looked like he was 62.
Yeah, he always looked like that again. That's so funny.
Joey, what you got?
Wow, I mean, that was the 80s, right? You could make movies about bouncers and arm wrestling and
over the
just
top.
anything, you know?
Over the top.
You want.
Over the
Like
top.
80s movies.
Lots of cocaine.
Right. You know, mine, again, I'm going to age myself a little bit, and it only aired once on TV. And the band that was in this movie hated it so much that you were not allowed to speak of it in their presence, or you would be fired if you worked for them. And anyone that worked for them was not allowed to speak about the movie. It's never been released on any format after VHS. And even when it was on VHS, it was only in foreign countries, and that is Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie.
No.
I haven't seen it, but heard of it.
It was it was made by Hanna-Barbera, who makes cartoons, and so all the sound effects are all from like Flintstones and Jetsons and stuff like that. You can recognize them right away. Basically, Kiss is going to play a concert at a amusement park, and the guy who builds the animatronics is mad that the shine is being taken off the rides because everyone just wants to see Kiss in concert. And so he decides to make the animatronics attack Kiss and kill them.
And this
It's-
didn't
it's-
win any Oscars.
Horrendous. And I mean, it's amazing. It's so funny and it's so bad.
That's so awesome.
Ace Frehley, the guitar player, just refused to learn any of the lines. Like, he just didn't want to be in the movie, but he was just doing it because whatever. He refused to learn his lines. So when it was his time to speak in the movie, he would just bark or make weird sounds. And they left that in the movie. Yep. And then Peter Criss was so drunk and under the influence of drugs that he couldn't. All his dialogue was unusable, so they redubbed all his dialogue with some random person reading all his lines. This is amazing. If the internet will provide, if you need to see it,
maybe YouTube or something.
It's probably on YouTube.
Right. The internet will provide, but man, they fight like robot werewolves. It's just insane. It's legitimately batshit insane, and it's so bad. And just the thought of like families like gathering around the TV in 1978, because there's like 4 channels at that time. So what are you gonna do? I mean, one of them is now taken up by 2 hours of Kiss fighting Frankenstein robots. It's just amazing. I just love the fact that it's like practically it's not lost media because it's out there, but like the band just will not acknowledge it. They won't let it be released. You can't get it anywhere unless you bootleg it, and it's so bad. It sounds bad. It's worse than it sounds. It's legitimately worse than it sounds. We covered it on our show. I forced my co-host to watch it. It's just insane. Even just the backstory of it, the fact that Ace would not speak other than barking and making noises for the entire movie, and they just left him in the movie.
It's clips on YouTube.
Heard about it.
Yeah, it's out there. Jump on the internet, you can find it. But man, is it bad? It is bad, but it's great. It's so funny. There's like explosions, and the story makes no sense. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Kiss meets Phantom of the Park. That's my number 3 pick. That's the one.
Nice.
Nick, 5 minutes, man. Close us out.
Well, that's actually another one that I had on my list to like segue from that was the movie Detroit Rock City, the late 90s. Again, it might just be because I was young, but like when I watched it, I was like, this is cinema. Like, this is so funny. And to me, it's weird that it's like not it's not even really like a cult classic. Like, maybe it is, but like people don't really talk about it. Like,
no one talks about that movie. Yeah. Wasn't Edward Furlong in that?
Yeah, it's like Edward Furlong.
One of
I've heard of this one, but yeah,
it's kind of like a raunchier. Nah, not really. I was gonna compare it to like Almost Famous, but it's really not like Almost Famous. But it's kind of like that if that were like a raunchy road trip like comedy.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. It's so funny, and like the story, like you get invested in the characters and the story. They're trying to get to this Kiss concert, and they're supposed to go. They have tickets, and like the drummer's mom is like real religious, and she won't let them go. So they steal a car, and like they try to go, and they keep hitting obstacles on the way, and then they have to split up, and then they try to get their tickets, and like one of them has to go. He goes to like a male strip club, and like ends up dancing, and the other one tries to rob a liquor store, and it's like, it's hilarious, and I don't get why it's not a classic.
Yeah. So you're the only one on here that's seen it, right?
Am I? I guess.
Yeah, I've never seen
No,
it.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. It's
you've
just,
seen it,
like
really?
you said, it like came and went. Like I watched it once, and then that was the end of it.
Yeah, it might just be because I was so young. I was maybe like 10. Shouldn't have been watching it in the first place, but we used to rent everything. My parents just didn't really care. And I sat
Those are the type of movies those imprint on you. You know, like I love the movie Once Bitten. I don't know if you've ever seen Once Bitten.
Yeah.
It's like a Jim Carrey's vampire. It's horrible.
it's horrible.
But I saw it when I was like,
I think it's very entertaining. Yeah,
All right.
I totally get why people would like it. I guess, and like I can't believe people don't talk about the dance scene more. You know, I finally saw it for the first time, I think, a couple Halloweens ago, and I was like, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I posted the dance montage. Like, I can't believe Jim Carrey did that. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of the craziest.
It's like, yeah, it's like in the vein of like Teen Wolf and stuff like that. Like they were just, I don't think it's horrible. It's just not.
Well, there's elements that I would say are very questionable today.
Oh yeah.
Then you'd have to rule out like 85% of all films. Like, well, we can't do that. You couldn't watch Teen Wolf. Couldn't do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to close this out, come back, wrap it up. Joey at Soul Wizard Podcast, man, I appreciate you joining in with us.
Thank you for having me. I love it.
My last pick was How High. Funny, quotable as hell. 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. I love that shit. It's Rec League Podcast, man. Yo, waiting patiently, but can't trust y'all. Talking to the agency. Those who don't live it, how they spit it, lame to me. I'm back now because I took a week off. And y'all know my dog spit it, so it wasn't no weak sauce. Where I live, man, it's hotter than dragon breath. Who executes the action best? I shoot 2 to the head, once tagged the chest. I heard you motherfuckers and you all trash at best. Who can I laugh at next? Go ahead, spit for me. Rapping mid-verse, having epiphany. I could rap next to a symphony and spit it exquisitely. Every line acclaimed critically. Only verses better than mine come from he regarded biblically. Ask about me, do the research. You smart if you inquire. Martian Manhunter, avoid my bars cause I always spit fire. Motherfuckers think they can walk in your shoes, but it's rare that they ready. When that glass crash, you either Steve Austin or you Marty Jannetty. Trying to slight me lyrically just proves you on some hater shit. Talk about your levels and then back out like it's Seinfeld and Kramer's crib. And chill until the next episode.